Hi everybody, it's Carol with Reffunction Crafts, and I'm going to bring a tutorial to you today on how to make a really gorgeous nightlight out of a Dollar Tree tin. And these are magnetic tins. You want to buy the ones that have the magnet on the back side. These are refrigerator magnets. So this is what we're going to be making today, and I've already made several of these tins in different themes, and I'm just going to show you a few of those now. I've got two of these little bicycle ones just because I love the bicycle so much. And I'm going to turn off my light here and show you what these tins look like when they are lit up. What I do is I use these LED string lights that I buy on Amazon. They have a really thin battery pack and you can change the batteries in them. I put that inside the tin once I've got it all completed, and there you have it. You have a beautiful glow. It's not as dark in here as I would like it to be for you to see this, but actually you can probably see it better just sitting on the table. This is what they're going to look like when they're done, but I will also post some pictures of these completed ones where I've got them in a little bit darker space and you can actually see really what the glow looks like. They're just stunning. So that's what we're going to be making today. And this should be a relatively short video. And bear with me, folks. This is my first tutorial on YouTube. I've been asked by several people to start a channel where I can do tutorials on some of the pieces that I make. I also have an Etsy shop where I sell most of the items that I make. So feel free to stop by my Etsy shop and take a look if you are interested. It is etsy.com/shop/Reffunction Crafts, and this is my shop name. So also I have a Facebook page. If you go to facebook.com/Reffunction Crafts, you can see video of a lot of my pieces that I've made in the past, pieces that are in my shop now, and that gives you, the Facebook page will give you all the sparkle and the glory of the pieces because I can post videos. So anyway, let's get started on this piece. The first thing that you need to do is you need to find an image that you want to use, and you're going to take this image and you're going to place it on the inside of the tin. Excuse me. And what you want to do is you want to place it in there so that in this tin you have a lip right here. You want it to be cut slightly larger than that lip. So what I do is I cut it larger, and I'm going to put it in there, and then I'm going to take this and I'm with my fingernail or whatever you choose to use, I'm going to go along the edges. I'm just trying to make sure that I have all of the edges covered, and I want it to actually come up on that lip. And the reason that I'm doing this, you might say, why don't you just cut it the size of the inside of the circle? Well, number one, I don't have a punch that's exactly that size. And number two, I don't want the light, when I put the light inside of this, I don't want the light to glow through the edges. So I feel like if I get it up against these edges, when I Mod Podge this image into this piece, it's not going to allow the light to come through, because it's also going to be Mod Podged onto that lip. And you can see I have a bit of excess in there, and that's okay, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this and I'm going to take my handy dandy scissors here, and I'm going to trim this down so that there's just a very small lip on the edge all the way around. And this way I know the lip's there, I know how big it is. I don't want the paper to come up over that lip, because then it's just going to look bad, number one, and number two, it's going to be in the way of the inside of the tin. So I'm just going to go around and carefully cut this so that the lip is very small, so that it just kind of sticks up a little bit on the inside. And then I'll test it to make sure I still don't have any pieces that are too large sticking up. And I think actually that's going to be perfect. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our, make sure that there's no dust or anything underneath the image there. Anything that's on the outside, you'll be able to clean that, but you don't want anything left on the inside of this piece, because then you're going to see those dust particles once you get this put together. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get my Mod Podge. I don't know what I did with my brush. Hang on just a second, folks. Okay, here I am. I'm back. Okay, I just washed out my brush, so I left it near the sink. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to drop a little bit of this Mod Podge into the lid here. Whoopsie, I went way too far with that. Gave it a little too hard of a squeeze. So I'm going to actually take some of that and put it back in my bottle. You don't want to put too much Mod Podge, because then you're going to end up with just a blobby mess, and that's not what you want to do here. Okay, and this Mod Podge I bought this at the Dollar Tree for $1, of course. And it lasts a pretty long time if you don't do a lot of Mod Podging. So I would suggest, if you're just going to do a little bit of this kind of thing, go over to the Dollar Tree and buy yourself a bottle or two of this Mod Podge and have it on hand, so that when you want to do little crafty things like this, you have it in your stash. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that I've got it on the entire piece of plastic that's over the top of this. Don't worry about the fact that it looks white now, because it's going to dry clear, and so it's not going to show once it dries. And then we're just going to take our image, we're going to press it in there. Make sure you press from the inside out so that you get any air bubbles that might be under there out. And then go all the way along this edge that you set up before with your fingernail or a toothpick or something. I like my fingernail because I can control the pressure that I'm putting on it, and I know I'm putting enough pressure on there to stick those edges up against the inside. And it is covered beautifully. Okay, so there's our image. Really pretty rose. It's very autumny, kind of fall colors. And so now we have the top ready, and what we're going to do now is we're going to embellish the top of this piece. And the first thing that I'm going to do, if you can see on these, I used a bangle bracelet, and this bangle had, detail along the edges on the outside of the bangle. I don't have any more of those. I've used those all up. So on this one, I'm going to use a plain bangle bracelet, and I'm going to adhere that to the inside of that circle. Now you'll see that bangle doesn't quite go to that lip, but that's okay because I'm going to be adding rhinestones. The adhesive that I use for all of my pieces, just about, unless it's something that is a soft product that will take hot glue and stay, E6000 is the best product you can use for something like this, because it's going to stick the piece to the tin, and it's not going to go anywhere once that E6000 dries. So we're going to take the E6000 and we're going to put it along the whole inside where the plastic is, not in the lip, but on the inside of that lip. We're going to put that E6000, and then we're going to lay down that bracelet. Okay, and you can see how that fits. Now you're going to have some oozy glue there a little bit. You'll be able to clean that up fairly easily. I mean, I can take my finger and I can scoop some of that up right now. Honestly, I would really almost prefer to do it once it dries, because then I can peel the excess E6000 off of there and not create a dull finish on the plastic. So for now, we're going to leave it as is, and then we're going to take some rhinestone chain, and I have this rhinestone chain and I have a smaller rhinestone chain. I hadn't really decided which I was going to use on this yet. I think I'm going to go with the little rhinestones, and I'm just going to place those all around the outer edge of this bracelet. Now the E6000 is kind of on the outside of some areas and not others, so I'm going to put a little bead of that where I know there is no adhesive at this time, and we're going to go around this bracelet and we're going to gently lay those rhinestones down, making sure that they're facing upwards. That's very important, because otherwise your piece won't look right if your rhinestones aren't set properly. So I should have started with the end of this rhinestone, and I didn't. My fault, my bad. Okay. And we're almost there, almost to the finish line. Okay. Now what we need to do is we need to clip this rhinestone chain so that we can finish this off. I'm going to use these clippers. These are my husband's. He's an electrician, and I know these are grimy, and well, they're really not grimy. He keeps his stuff pretty clean, but they're very old and rusty and all of that. But my clippers, as you can see, are about 15 years old now, maybe older, and I finally bent them and they won't close, and so I need to buy a new pair. So for this purpose, we're going to use my husband's clippers, and we're going to stop right there and hope that I don't mess up the rhinestone using these big old things. And we're going to lay that down, and wouldn't you know it, I sure did. I should have clipped it the other direction. So we're going to clip that off the end there, and we're going to lay this piece down and figure out how much more we need to complete this, and it looks like, well, we may not need anything. Looks like we are going to make that work. Okay, perfect. So, yay. So now that we've got the rhinestone down, we want to make sure that it's all uniform with this bangle bracelet that we set on the inside, and get ready to do the rest of our embellishing. Okay, so we have that rhinestone on there. You can see that looks really pretty. I have a couple of spots where I have a little E6000 there that I need to sort of rub off, but that will come off really, really easily later on. Once the E6000 is dry, I can peel that right off, and it's gonna, you're never gonna know it was there. So try not to do that, but it's almost inevitable that you're gonna have some that's gonna ooze out that you're gonna have to clean up. So anyway, okay, so that's where we're at with that. We don't need this chain. And then I have some embellishments here. I haven't quite decided which ones I'm going to use yet, but I get these embellishments from a little store local to me here, and they sell a lot of bling pieces on barrettes, you know, hair pieces, brooches, things like that. And I get all of these beautiful, beautiful pieces that I use in my projects. And I've got more in here. Sometimes I use these littler pieces that I can add. How great would that be for a Valentine's Day project? That little heart, so cute. So anyway, for this project though, I think maybe what I'm going to use, I was actually considering using that red butterfly. How gorgeous is that? I know there's no red in this piece, but I just think that it kind of sets it off and it gives it that added bit of color, pop of color. And sorry guys, that was my phone. And it really looks gorgeous. So I'm thinking that I may use that and possibly, I was looking for the other ones, possibly one of these little hearts might look pretty somewhere along the edge, or, you know, I have to cut this. This is an earring, and I have to cut it off of the base, but it's the red and just kind of adds that little pop of color on the other side. So I think I'm gonna try and use maybe one of these little hearts with this. And I'm going to try and cut this off without damaging the rhinestones on the heart. And then I need to kind of clean up the edge here. I'm sorry if I get off camera, you guys. I think I mentioned this is my first YouTube video, so bear with me. Have patience. And I know I will get better as I go along, so just give me a minute to get this all figured out. Okay, so now we have that heart piece. I don't know, what do you think? Do I want it there or don't I? Or maybe I just want it to sit sort of at the bottom. I don't know. Part of me is thinking just leave the butterfly on there and the flowers and leave it at that. And I think that's what I'm going to do. So we're going to take our E6000 now, and we're going to glue this beautiful butterfly on there, and we're going to make sure we put glue everywhere that it needs to be, except on that outer edge where it's going to be hanging over. We want to put plenty of E6000 on this piece because it's a bigger piece, and we want to make sure that it's going to stay there and never fall off. So there we have it, that beautiful, beautiful tin, and it's going to have a light in it, and it's going to be absolutely stunning, all lit up. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do, folks. I'm going to go ahead and take some pictures so that you guys can see just how pretty this piece is going to be, and I'll post them with the video, and you guys will see just how gorgeous these are. And I think everybody's going to want to go out and make one because they are so fun to make, so easy to make. And if you don't want to make one, stop by my Etsy shop and I will have these for sale in my store soon. I have not listed them yet. I was waiting to get this tutorial done, and or actually, you know what, they may be listed by the time you see this tutorial, because I'm going to have to do my upload and get my links all set up and everything. So I will put a link to my shop as well so that you can check out my store. And thank you for watching, everybody. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, then give it a thumbs down. I appreciate any comments that you might have. So please feel free to leave comments. Again, bearing in mind, this is my first YouTube tutorial, and they will get better and better as I go along. So again, I thank you all for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye-bye.